I think I made a mistake because I'm busier than before. And I don't know when the day off is now. Because when I was teaching, Friday I don't have class, Saturday, Sunday I'm off, right? So I go into my studio and work. Nowadays, I don't know what day of the week, I'm just constantly working. So it's pretty crazy.
Not the calm retirement you expected.
I didn't expect it that because it's not me. I taught 38 years, and I'm a workaholic. And my family called me crazy, and lately I'm thinking maybe I am. I can't stop.
You pick up any new hobbies? You golf? You golfing?
I wish. I used to even fish for a while. When I was a student, I even cut ceramic class to go fishing, salmon fishing, American River. That's rare, cutting class. But I was fishing, but I haven't fished in probably about 30 years. Yeah, it's pretty much. It's a shame.
Time to
Yeah.
pick up a pole, Yoshio.
I know. Yeah, I agree with you.
And you're wearing a shirt with fish on it.
Yeah, I use fish motif a lot in my work and also sculpture. Even the latest piece, I did a large sculpture of a fish. And I relate to fish really well because I was born in a tiny little tropical island in Okinawa. And, in Japan, grew up in Osaka, Japan. Main food that I used to eat is a lot of fish, cheaper. And then I came over here. Eventually, I started working in a restaurant, and I had to prepare a fish. It's always a fish is involved, so I can relate to it better. I think that's the reason I feel comfortable using that, as a symbolism for, rebirth and strength and all that stuff.
Wow. Gosh,
Yeah.
I feel like that's so good already.
We haven't even started
I
the
know.
interview.
Do we want to?
We're gonna cut some of that in, Yoshio.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, whatever.
Can we have you introduce yourself?
I'm Yoshio Taylor. I taught, I told you before, 38 years in college, at Yosemite River College. I also taught at Sac State, just a couple classes at San Francisco State as well. So I've been just kind of bouncing around, but mostly full-time teaching at Yosemite River College.
Awesome. And we're going to pull you way back into your memories. What was your earliest clay memory?
Clay. Actually, clay memory is somewhat new. I was into art, drawing more, and before that I was actually in high school, I was trying to become an architect because I wanted to design a building, something creative, way of designing, interesting design. But later found out it's not my thing because first of all, it requires a lot of math, and I'm not real fond of math. I can do basic math, but I don't really want to do that all day long. Secondly, I talked to the real architect, and he showed me what he did in his office, and he did a lot of research, and I told him, I want to design something. Do you get to design anything in a large building by yourself? And he says, seldom, almost none. So when you get the degree in architecture, you're probably going to be doing the research on how much this wallboard cost by the bathroom and this in just a section, just a bits and pieces, and you don't really get to design the whole building, more than likely not. So I wasn't interested in that. I wanted to design something. of my own idea. So I kind of detour that from trying to become an architect to graphic artist to graphic artist. So I started taking photography at Sac State. It was late after I received my AA from City College. Then I start working in a restaurant, trying to make a living. So I start taking a photography class. Then I start taking some commercial art. They used to call it commercial art. It's a graphic art. And I liked it, but then one day, I was peeking into the ceramic room at Sac State. And all the students were really focused on the potter's wheel, and they were making pottery forms. And some people were better than others, and I was just watching and said, wow, that's pretty neat, like a little magic. It just turned into this beautiful shape. I can do that. So I wanted to do that. So I signed up the following semester, and turned out one of the toughest art class I have ever tried. And I like challenging in my challenge myself. So whenever that kind of challenge surfaces, I try harder. So I try really, really hard. I told myself, I can do this, just pay attention, just make it work. And 2 years later, I was TA to Resurgence. And apparently I got pretty good at it, within those 2 years. So after that, she encouraged me to going into teaching, possibly teaching. That means I need to get an MA. And I said, okay. And she said, well, you have a knack for it. You can spot what they're doing wrong, students. And that's because I did the same thing. I can spot it, and I can correct it. So she thought I had a knack for that. So she encouraged me to, pursue a higher degree in ceramic. So I end up getting an MA there at Sac State. So I'm going, all right, I got an MA. I can be a teacher somewhere. And it wasn't that easy. By then, MA was dime a dozen. So I pursued MFA. And in Montana, a graduate workshop I attended one year, and I end up meeting Peter Vokas. And, I joke around a lot. So I did a fake Vokas plate before he showed up. And I made sure he would see it, so I had it right next to where he's going to be standing. So he looked at the plate and said, who did that? And everybody said, Yoshio did that. So he goes, not bad. Come over here. You wedge clay for me. 50 pounds of clay. I'm down on my knee on a cement floor, wedging 50 pounds, and he throws his plate standing up. So I'm hoisting that 50 pound. Okay, Pete, here we go. He catches it, bam, and he can throw that plate in 5 minutes. So that's how I get to know him, and he encouraged me to apply for UC Berkeley. So I said, okay, I'll try. So after the workshop, I end up seeing him quite often, and he told me to, okay, why don't you bring your work, let me take a look and see if you have any talent. So I did pottery, and I was doing sculpture. My sculpture is narrative and figurative, and Vokas' work are abstract, and it's as modern as it can be. It's the night and day difference. But anyway, he was looking at my slides and said, he's just shaking his head looking at my sculpture. Then he looked at my pottery. Well, your pottery is okay. Your sculpture, I don't know. So he was just joking around. He said, well, you can apply for MFA program, but I don't know if you're going to get in. It's just questionable. He said jokingly, I can only pull so many strings. I said, oh, okay, Pete. But I figure I'll just go ahead and apply anyway. Otherwise, I have to wait for another year before I can apply for it. So I went ahead and applied with what I had. And so after the review, I called admission and talked to the lady. I said, this is so-and-so, Yoshio Taylor, and how did I do? And she said, congratulations, you got in. You got accepted into the program. I said, I did? How many votes did I get? You're supposed to get all the votes from the faculty member. She said, well, you got all the vote except one. So to this day, I don't know who that one vote, against me or whatever. It could have been Pete. I don't know. But anyway, I ended up got into the MFA program there. I finished it up in 1 year, and after that, one part-time opened up at Sac State. I taught there, and I could simultaneously, part-time for the next 10 years. I finally got on full-time tenure track at Sac State, but 2 years later, budget crisis just wiped out my position in 1 art history. So I was teaching part-time, so I'm scrambling to make extra money because I just bought a house and Brian didn't hire me, so so I was teaching at Sierra College, Kissimmee, and Intel. But Intel was not pottery, it was Japanese, conversational Japanese. I was teaching that to electronic engineer who has given a very short notice to go to Japan. So it was a survival Japanese I was teaching them. So that worked out for a year or so. And then Kissimmee opened up full time and I applied for it. Luckily I got in, so that's my story.
Neat.
So you spoke a little bit about how Ruth inspired you to become a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
How did she inspire you with your art as an artist?
Well, she didn't really guide me to do certain way, certain style. She just encourages me to keep working at it and perfect it, and just believe in yourself and apply your knowledge and skill, and to produce your own type of artwork. I liked her teaching philosophy. She was more stern than all the other ones, and coming from Japan, it's kind of a night and day. How they were taught here. They're a little more relaxed, a lot more relaxed than in Japan. The Japanese educational system is so hard and so stern, and sometimes it's too hard. So I like that certain way, but Ruth had that kind of traditional sternness to it, and a lot of people didn't like that, but some people like myself and they really appreciate that. Yeah. So when I start teaching, I think I was a little more stern than the other, relaxed. Oh, just make anything kind of teacher. So, no, I believe in sharing my knowledge to students. So I try to do the best I can to do that, share my knowledge and learn from students too. Sometimes they know more than what I know about certain things. So that was really a wonderful time when I was teaching. So I kind of missed that interaction with the students.
Do you have any memories of Alpha or knowing my dad for so many years come to mind?
Oh yeah, your dad, I love him. I met him first time at Sac State when I first taken the class from Ruth Rippon. He sat next to me, next to the other Brent wheel. There was all Brent wheel lined up, And he sat there, and I was looking at him throwing porcelain bottle shape, and we were chatting, and yeah. So that was my first encounter with your dad. It's been really wonderful. I feel really close to him, all the time, even though I don't see him that often. But and he has helped me a lot in a way of, I knew that he knew if I found out there's a new material that I really want to explore and experiment, and I come and talk to him about it, and he kind of knew about most of the, the new material that's coming into the market, and he knew where to get it and how to get it. So he was my go-to guy, yeah, for many, many, many years, and I really appreciate him being here. Otherwise I would have had to drive to Bay Area and talk to other people. So yeah, and Brian's been really, really great. Yeah.
You focused a lot on like the structure and the technique with your students, right? Something you learned from Ruth Rippon.
Well, some from her, but I think it's how I was educated in Japan, because I graduated from junior high school. That's end of a formal education in Japan. My mother remarried to American GI, my stepdad. I never call him stepdad, but my dad. So, that's how I end up coming here and not knowing how to speak at all. When I came here at 16, what was your question again?
Your focus on like the structure and the process and the technique with your students. And it seems like if you help them get all those things down, that they can build this process where then they're kind of free to explore in their imagination.
Exactly, yeah. It's not so much of a one particular thing. I try to teach them the basics, how it works. It's either sculpting or on the wheel work. I even told my daughter, don't take any ceramic class until I give you a first lesson. Then you can go ahead and take it from anybody. But you have the fundamental, I believe that my fundamental, I'm not bragging, but I guess I am, it's very sound. And some of the students who comes to my class, they have taken some other places and come and say, well, what are you doing? Oh, that's how I learn. I said, well, it's not going to work because let me explain to you why it doesn't work. So I will break it down. I will always tell them you're doing it wrong if they're doing wrong, but I always follow that up with the why and how do you correct it. And that was how I taught everything. Glazing, same thing, everything. Why it doesn't work. How do you make it work? Yeah.
Neat. Do you have a piece in mind for the 35th anniversary show yet?
Well, there's two possibilities. One is a bust. It's the latest one. I think I did it 2022, 23, yeah, 22 or something like that. Anyway, it's a bust, female bust. It's called Flame. It's a pretty exciting piece. Either that or I have a freestanding smaller means, well, I'm very tall at 5'5", but in my height, freestanding sculpture. So between those two, I'm trying to figure out which one I'm going to bring it in. I was talking to Josh about that. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Who gets the glaze recipes?
I have all of them. From which glaze recipes? I have a bunch of Ruth too. Yeah.
We heard Ruth passed on her recipes to you.
I have I have her files. Yeah, she did. How'd you find that out?
Josh just told me that.
Yeah.
I know, I'm telling secrets.
we thought we'd interrogate you and see if we
Oh,
can
I
get
see.
any.
Yeah. Well, all the.
Am I next in line, Yoshio, to inherit the
Oh,
glaze recipes?
you have to give me a massage every day.
Well, I mean, this was fantastic. I appreciate you coming out, Yoshio, and
Oh, you're welcome.
talking with us.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
I don't know. I was looking at the question, but I don't remember anything now. So I hope I answer most of the things what you need to know. But like I said, you know, Alpha has been really, really close to my heart. All my time in clay career, yeah, I feel really close to this place and Brian, and now Josh.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yoshio.
thank you. You
welcome.
gave us a lot of good stuff. We appreciate it.
Good.